Hey guys, Bud here with another tutorial from PremiumBeat.com. Today, we're going to be talking about foreign language subtitling in Avid Media Composer. Subtitling your film can be a time-intensive task, especially if you're working on a foreign language documentary, wherein you could potentially have hours and hours worth of interview footage that needs to be transcribed, then translated, and then subtitled in your editor. However, assistant editors using Avid Media Composer can ingest subtitles directly onto the timeline, which saves editors and their assistants hours of time inputting the subtitles manually. In this step-by-step guide, I'm going to show you from start to finish the workflow for receiving footage from production, prepping and sending it off for transcribing and translation, and finally, getting it onto your Avid timeline. We've got a lot of ground to cover today in this tutorial, so let's hop right in. So today we have some foreign language interviews that we need subtitling. And the process for subtitling a foreign language interview is basically a three-step process. Now, you have the transcription, the translation, and the actual generation of the subtitles. And what I'm going to show you today in the tutorial is working from the footage that you have in Avid, creating a low-resolution version of the interview to send off to a transcription team or a transcription service to transcript the language in its original language. Then we take that and we get that transcription translated. And then from the translation, we finally have the content that we need to generate our subtitles. We're going to generate our subtitles or build our subtitles within something called an Avid DS caption file, which is just a plain text file. And then once we have this Avid DS caption file created, we can then import it into Avid via an effect called the subcap effect. That's the bird's eye view of the process. Here we are, we're in Avid. I have some interview footage here of a lovely Maasai lady. The language that she's speaking in this interview is Ma, which is the native language of the Maasai people. And so we actually had to do two translations of this, once from Ma into Swahili, and then again from Swahili into English. I'm in Avid. The first step is, once you've got your footage in Avid, you need to create a sequence, and I've done that. As you can see, I have my sequence over here in my bin. I have my sequence on my timeline here. I'm going to create a new video layer by hitting Command Y. And in that video layer, I'm going to go ahead and drop in my timecode. And the effect that you're looking for is called Timecode Burnin. With my Timecode Burnin effect on my video layer above my footage, I'm going to go to my effect editor. I only need timecode for this, so I have checked my display 1 box here, and I want to show timecode of the current track. But I do want to change the appearance of this to make it a little more legible. So I'm going to increase the size here. I'm going to give it kind of a nice blue color there. And so there's my time code. So you can see that as I scrub through my video, the burn-in matches my sequence time code. Very important. I'm also going to add a watermark because I am going to be sending this off to some people that I actually don't know. So I've created my timecode burn-in. I've also created a watermark. We're now ready to actually export this. We're ready to export a low resolution version of this interview that we can then hand off to our transcription team. So to export, I'm going to right click on my sequence, go down to Output, Export to File. Now I have some export settings saved here already, and it doesn't necessarily matter what setting you decide to use. Just make sure it's something that is low resolution, that's a small file size, and you'll be good to go. You can adjust all of that within the options menu here on the export settings. So let's see here. Yeah, 1280 720, that's fine. You can also do 640 by 480 if you wanted to. H.264, 1280 720. Sound, yep, that looks good. Make sure that video and audio is being exported. I'm going to let that export out and then I'll be right back. Okay, so our export has finished. Let's go ahead and take a look at it, make sure everything's okay. That sounds perfect. That's exactly what the transcription team is going to need. So as you can see, we've completed the first step, which is preparing the video for transcription. And we're going to send that off to the transcription team. Now, when you send it off to the transcription team, you may want to also give some notes. If there's a certain way that you'd like the transcription to be formatted, you can pass that information along. The most important thing, though, to pass along to the transcription team is to tell them the timecode blocks that you would like to use, or the timecode ranges that you would like to use. So tell them, yeah, I'd like a timecode stamp every 10 seconds. So once you send that to the transcription team, maybe it's the same person or persons that will be doing the translating as well, maybe not. So we've completed transcription, we've moved on to translation. And they may send back something that looks like this. But this is basically what you're going to end up with. As you can see here, I have a timecode stamp every 10 seconds. That's perfect. And then I have the translated text that's being spoken within that range. I'm going to take this information and I'm going to drop it into something called an Avid DS caption file. That's the file that Avid needs to have in order to create your captions on your timeline. So let's hop back into Avid. And now that we can go ahead and mute our burn-in layer, I'm going to create a new layer up top by hitting Command Y. And I'm going to navigate to my effects panel. And I'm going to search for the subcap effect. I'm going to pull that down to the timeline. And I'm going to open up my effect editor. And within the subcap effect, which is now active on my V3 layer, I'm going to twirl down the caption files menu. And I'm going to hit this box that says export caption data. And what this is doing is basically, I'm telling Avid to, hey, create one of these Avid DS caption files for me. And it's just a text file with like a header in it. It's super simple. So for now, I'm just going to throw that onto the desktop. And I'm going to call this one, Masai interview. I'm going to make sure that I'm creating an Avid DS caption file here, the .text file, and I'm going to hit save. Now that should have gone to my desktop. Where is it? Masai interview text. And I'm going to open this with any text editor. And as you can see here, it's created the bones of what a Avid DS caption file it looks like. As you can see, it has a header. This is very important. You don't delete any of the things that it has already populated within the caption file. So you're going to want to keep the header the same. You're going to want to enter your captions within these two markers, with it, between the begin subtitles and end subtitle markers. So the way that you create a caption file or drop in your translated subtitles, I'm going to go over to my translations here that have timecode. And I'm just going to start dropping in some timecode. So the way you're going to do it is you're going to enter it just as it appears on the page. I'm entering my first range of timecode, and I'm going to hit the spacebar once, enter my second range, which is 10 seconds later. I'm going to copy and paste the subtitle text that needs to occur within that range. I'm going to hit return 3 times to give myself 2 spaces between each caption block. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to add my first timecode range, followed by the second timecode range. 10 seconds later, I'm going to drop in the text that needs to appear within that range. So here's the finished caption file. This is what it should look like. Notice the format is actually very important here. We have the header at the top, which we're keeping. We have all of our subtitles within our begin subtitle and end subtitle markers. And I have my timecode ranges followed by the captions that I want to appear within that range. And I have 2 spaces between each subtitle block. I'm going to save this caption file, and I'm going to head over to Avid. And now that I have a completed Avid DS caption file, I'm going to hit Import Caption Data in the subcap effect, and I'm going to navigate to my completed file. And as you can see, it's pulled up the file name here, and I'm making sure that Avid DS caption file is selected under the file type. It's telling me where my timecode begins for my sequence, and where my first caption begins and ends for my subtitles. And it says down here at the bottom that 7 captions are going to be spliced in. That sounds great. I'm going to hit open. And there they are. Let's take a listen. And there you have it. I've got subtitles in my Avid sequence. And that's it for today, guys. For more stellar Avid Media Composer tutorials, stay tuned to PremiumBeat.com. Thanks for watching.